What's going on, YouTube? This is your Melanated Warrior, Haywood Haynes, and this is another installment of Facts Over Feelings. Leave your feelings at the door so we can get to the facts. So before we get started, I just wanted to give a big shout out to all the Melanated guys and goddesses that's helping to expand this platform. I'm glad that these last couple of segments have resonated with you guys and helping you guys to put together the dots, connect them. And, I understand too as well out of those two segments, one wasn't as well received as the other simply because, some people had reservations, and those reservations come about because when you criticize people who have created a towering reputation for themselves within the conscious community, then of course you have to be ready for backlash, right? And we're ready for that because eventually what we feel like you'll learn from coming back and forth to this platform, or and if you remain consistent, you'll begin to realize that we're genuine, and you'll realize that, look, one of the things that we champion above all others is the fact that the messenger should not be more important than the message. And see, that is in stark contrast to religious institutions and practically any other outlet that you're familiar with. The messenger is always more important than the message. That's how they keep power. So I'm just trying to get you to understand that I know people say, oh yeah, you could have went about it a different way. Y'all as elders, y'all should look. If you don't respect the elders, it's plenty of great thinkers out there. And if you haven't shown respect to them, what do you think that I'm going to be able to get out of these cats? You think that you're going to somehow cause them to wake up and say, oh, let's really be about that business. No, if they're not about it right by now, they're never going to be about it. That's just how it is. And I was just letting you know that that's how things are. You're not going to be able to change the rules to the game. That's the way the game is played. You see, and that's why I said the power is concentrated on the local and state level. And we're going to get right into the receipts to show you. So let's get right into that, because I got a lot of information to cover. So right here is just a video that will help to really clarify all the things that I talked about, and we're going to expound on it. But before we do, I want to say too that being an 80s baby, we're very familiar with what you guys are confronted with. I mean, shouts out to all the 80s babies if you listening to this, because you guys know exactly where I'm coming from. Like we really, like, the 80s was that's you guys' strongest reference point in terms of what do you have to compare what you're going through. I mean, because the 80s, like, they poured HIV/AIDS on us, crack cocaine. I mean, you're talking about in terms of the media and its propaganda, it was at its highest. Because we didn't have all these other things. That a lot of power was concentrated in the hands of a few. You see, and they controlled the image and they ruled with an iron fist. And when they brought these people to our awareness, like the NWAs and all this, mind you, because in hip hop, we had conscious artists that were platinum selling artists before NWA even hit the scene. You see, and then they came with this anti-establishment rhetoric, and then it fit perfectly within the scheme of things in America, and it took off. And what did it do? It helped to contribute to the militarization of the police department. You had these individuals walking around with pea shooters. Now all of a sudden, you can't tell the difference between them and the SWAT team. You see what I'm saying? The bigger prisons being built, and all of a sudden Ice Cube was like, what we need to do for black people? Oh, nigga, I think you've done enough. You need to sit your ass down. And isn't it ironic that him and Ice-T came out with an album called Cop Killer? Now all these niggas do is play cops. Man, you can miss me with that. Hollywood don't give stars to niggas for nothing. I'm sorry. And see, this is what I'm going to show you. I'm like, even if these niggas, maybe he had a change of heart, he wants to do something, and he felt like this was the best way. I'm going to show you that the power is centered at the local and state level, and you don't have to beg, you don't have to protest, you don't have to march when you understand where the power lies. Let's get to it. We're about to get to it. We're about to get to it. Get this out the way. It's crazy crap. Hold on. All right. So I want to say 1976 Copyright Act, Section 107. This is for purposes of commentary, criticism, education, scholarship, news reporting, and overall just waking your ass up. As a routine city council ceremony. Let's get it. A jaw-dropping moment at what started as a routine city council ceremony. These deputy sheriffs were being honored in Tamarack, Florida. Among them, Joshua Gallardo, who was named Deputy of the Month. Deputy of the Month. Gallardo stood proudly, holding his certificate in the group photo.
But what came next took everyone by surprise.
I would like to make a comment.
A city commissioner, Mike Gelin, took the microphone and called the deputy back.
Joshua Gallardo,
my line.
can you come down for a second?
Gallardo is completely blindsided by what happens next.
You probably don't remember me, but you're the police officer who falsely arrested me 4 years ago. You lied on the police report. I believe you're a rogue police officer, you're a bad police officer, and you don't deserve to be here.
Gallardo's reaction? He gives an awkward thumbs up and walks away. The chamber is stunned into silence. The mayor quickly takes the mic.
We appreciate, as a whole, BSO and everything that you do for us.
The commissioner and the cop first.
See, she had to do damage control. We appreciate see what I'm talking about? He becomes a part of the commission. All right, a city commissioner, and look what he was able to do. He was able to express his power. But that didn't even see what you have to understand is that look how he embarrassed him. He was getting deputy of the month, a certificate. Now it was obvious that he was around his peers, but as you've seen, there was an applause before they had even given him the certificate, which means that he had his family and everybody there, and he showed out on that nigga. Like, he said, oh, he was blindsided. You damn right he was. Oh yeah, you arrested me. False police report, you rogue officer. You don't even deserve this. You don't even deserve to be up here. And what? Drop the mic on your ass. You see what I'm saying? And that's just the least of it, because you have to understand with the city commission, see, you have, the commissions are set up different in each city. It could be, obviously it could be different from city to city, and, it can definitely be different from state to state. But usually you're speaking, and then, like I said, always look at your municipal charter in order to identify what the differences are, especially in terms of how much power the mayor has. But that's what I'm going for. Like with the city commission, sometimes they elect the mayor. A lot of times the people can elect the mayor. And like I said, look at your municipal charter to see how much power the mayor has. But typically, the mayor can fire the police chief. So if he can fire the police chief, how safe is his job? Now imagine if that mayor was him. He wasn't city commissioner, he was mayor. You see what I'm saying? This is how you get police reform. You don't march, you don't protest, you become the mayor and commissioners of your city. That's what they deal with. The mayor's often not along with the city manager, because that's the one behind the scenes that really be handling the money. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes the mayor's power can be nominal, which means he doesn't have any power. He's just a face. Sometimes they even often volunteer to be mayor. But in a lot of other cities, the mayor has a lot of power. Okay? And the mayor, along with the city manager, what do they handle? Education, transportation, water, the police department, the fire department. Remember what even happened in Texas with the water? You're on the city commission, or you're the city manager, and often than not, if we put somebody through school, that's more than that's a possible, that's something that's possible for us to attain that position. Okay, you just probably have to get a master's in public administration, but that's easy. Okay, we put them in that position now. Of course, now those funds are allocated for that city, so that water can go there. Now we don't have to rely on Massa to do it, out of the kindness of his heart. We making moves. Okay? A police officer, imagine that conversation, your mother or your brother or your sister or a friend of yours or a cousin, their mayor. All right? And you had a run-in. You like, oh, cuz or oh, sis or oh, bro, hey, look, I had a run-in with the chief of police, or I had a run-in with an officer. They jacked me up. They claimed that I was resisting arrest. I think they're going to trump up some charges on me. What can you do about that? Oh, we going to handle that. Are we going to march? No, we ain't going to march. We going to fire his ass. And we don't have to wait. We don't have for news coverage. We ain't got to wait from Benjamin Slump Crump to come here. We ain't got to wait on none of that. If you were to play the game, that's how you play it. You're looking at Trump-powered individuals. Your governor has the same ability. So instead of us making songs about, oh yeah, free Slim, or free this man, or free this nigga, free that nigga. No, go free him. You're governor. You can do that. You can pardon him. See, where are these niggas? Where is these people now? The vote or die niggas. Where are the pundits, the political experts? That your governor's up for re-election. Where are they? Man, you can hear a pin drop. That's what I'm telling you. Like, if that's what they're telling you, if this is what's going on, I cannot allow you to lead you. I cannot allow them to lead you down that road. I know how politics work. That's what I'm telling you. Remember we talked about what Dr. Neely Fuller and Dr. Francis Cress Welsing talked about, to have all those 9 areas of life activity, to have individuals who are adept and well-versed in those areas: economics, entertainment, education, labor, law, politics, sex, religion, and war. And all those areas, we need experts. If the man is not an expert in that area, it's not a shot against him. You just sit your ass down. We don't have quarterbacks playing running backs and running backs playing tight ends. Everybody has to play their position. Don't get arrogant and full of yourself acting like, oh, voting don't work. Nah, niggas, not the way that y'all doing it. You see how it worked for my mans? 4 years ago, he got thrown on cars and, false police report filed. And what'd he do? I'm city commissioner. Yeah, why you getting your certificate? I got something to say. You lame, you rogue, you don't even deserve this. And that's how I'm gonna drop the mic on your ass. And if I'm mayor, elected mayor, your job is in jeopardy. Okay? And so it was another thing, like, someone sent me a comment, they were like, oh, well, yeah, with rabies. And somebody's like, oh, well, there's a cure for rabies. Now, ain't no cure for rabies. The shot just slows it down. Eventually, dementia will set in. You're talking about something that's 5 genes. Now, mind you, this is what I'm going to tell you all the time. You're talking about, and this is fact, this is not conjecture. It's the deadliest disease known to man. 99.9% cure rate. So you take the most violent being on the planet with the most violent and most deadliest pathogen on the planet, who act in this being that we know wants the population down to 500 million. And you have, like I said, you have the most violent being with the most violent pathogen. I know you can do math, can't you? Because see, what he's proficient at is this statement called e pluribus unum, which is Latin for out of many, one. And see, I'm going to show you how he made many diseases out of one pathogen. You see what I'm saying? Because, like I said before, the individual has said this, oh, well, yeah, that when I showed the picture of the dog, now I know some people genuinely just didn't get it. They were like, okay, you can explain the last clip to me because they've never seen rabies before. They probably heard about it, but they've never seen it. And of course, they keep thinking about the traditional form of rabies. And we're talking about the genetically modified form, which will be the one that will actually be pushed out on us, which will encourage or bring together or be will set the perennial stages of the apocalypse into motion. Okay? And so that version is going to be totally different. But I'm showing you that obviously as you see the behavior of these animals, that you see that it's eerily similar to the behavior of humans with rabies, because a zombie is nothing more than a human with rabies. That's all you need to know. You see, but we're going to go off into showing you a little bit more evidence. So now I'm going to play something for you right quick. Let's get into it.
You got a nice pretty tail. We get your tail in there? Look at that. You're not that hungry. I gave you dog food. You wouldn't even touch it.
Dad, come here.
What?
I don't want it to bite you.
Well, you're right. He could have rabies, huh? Oh.
Oh. Now look at this idiot. Oh, I fed your dog food. You're not hungry? Oh, you have a pretty tail. What? You couldn't tell that dog was sick? See, it's going to be these Blancos who don't want to believe what they are or what's going on. And they're going to be the ones to help kick this motherfucking apocalypse off. Because he was obviously the equivalent of the white girl who trips in the horror movie. That's what that was. Oh, hold on. First, we're going to go to a couple commercial breaks just to show you something right quick. Now, I'm going to read this article before I show you. It says, we feel like we are on this earth to serve. And this is a quote from the lady who obviously said, who let this dog in. We feel like we are on this earth to serve others, including four-legged little creatures. A dog named George is still alive thanks to a Good Samaritan's huge heart. Good Samaritan saves dog named George from the Texas winter storm. That's what it said. Look at that dog. The dog looks sick. You see how they taking these dogs in? This is all it takes. And you see what I wanted you to put together was like, what did we say? Some people have been woke long enough to see the dots, but they have not been woke long enough to put them together. Out of those 3 videos that I showed you, what did you connect? You seen that what? These rabbit, foxes, and coyotes were around people's homes, cars. That's what I'm telling you. You have to be cautious of leaving your children out. This is not to get you paranoid. This is to make you aware of what age you are living in. The age of the apocalypse. See, we're going to show you. See, look, we took a look at some things, and you know, we didn't, like I told you before. What I'm trying to get people to understand is, I'm gonna go a little bit off into it because that's gonna be the last article that we read. But you have to understand that there is no cure for rabies. Rabies turns your brain into a sponge. So does Kuru disease. So does Alzheimer's. So does multiple sclerosis. Okay, they're in a group actually called TSEs, and that is transmissible spongiform encephalopathies. Now, see, the European running around talking about, oh, yeah, this is that. They all do the same thing, but we don't know if they originate in the same way. What? Because, see, look at this, and I'm going to expose this to you for a second. It's like he has something called, the theory is based off of prions. Prions are proteins that don't fold properly. Okay, remember that. Prions are proteins that don't fold properly. All right? And so what happens is that these proteins somehow bump into other proteins, come into contact with other proteins, and it starts this, domino effect where now they don't fold properly. Now, the reason why this is real important is because this is the only theory that is devoid of the nucleic acids being somewhere in the equation. And what do I mean by that? Is that funguses, parasites, viruses, bacteria, they all, it's either DNA or RNA. That's how we know stuff to spread. We're always talking about how the DNA and RNA of something. And with this theory, for rabies, and what they term as transmissible spongiform encephalopathies, they say, oh, well, we just think proteins just bounce in front of one another, and then it creates these autoimmune disorders. We don't know what's going on. We know that they're similar. We're not saying that they're similar. They react the same, but shut up with your pseudoscience. Did you know that? See, this rabies doesn't have the same explanation. That's what you need to know. They're trying to say, oh, this has nothing to do with DNA and RNA. What this has to do with is proteins not folding properly and bouncing into one another. So let's show you, when we're talking about symbolism, especially when we're talking about the birds, that concept helped you to breathe a little life in the power of spells. But yet we're going to take the birds, isolate them once again, the family of the eagle, the hawk, and the vulture. And we're going to show you how deep this rabbit hole goes, obviously, because you have to understand that the world is ruled by signs and symbols. It's on us. It's pertinent, especially in this time. It's pertinent it's pertinent for us to entertain the idea of ensuring that, we dig deep and we remain symbol literate, right? And so I'm gonna read a couple articles, and before I do that, like I said before, we have to understand why they chose these symbols. Like when you look at the eagle is an apex predator, right? Carnivore. It's called the king of birds, according to them, right? And they're in this same family with hawks and vultures. And you can tell a lot about a species by the way that it treats its young. And what's so peculiar about the eagle is that, and we know that with its young and just overall, the females are the bigger of the two, okay? And what happens is sometimes, more often than not, is that when those eggs hatch, if they have like two, because that's generally, the number I'm assuming, I think from what I remember, but they have about two or less. But if they have, two or more, and the female comes out, even if they just have two, the female comes out, sometimes she will kill the male. She will kill the weaker, even if it's another female, if it's weaker or it appears to, not be as strong, she will kill the sibling, they will kill each other in front of the parents, and the parents will watch, not do a damn thing about it. You see what I'm saying? That's the symbol that they chose. And see, so when you go in the vulture, you have to understand the vulture has always been a symbol of death. Always has been. You have to understand that the vulture comes in as like the cleanup crew of nature, helping to maintain the balance, because see what happens is if these vultures are not around, then feral or wild dogs, feral is just another name for wild, these wild dogs begin to feed on these carcasses. And what happens is that you got to understand, when an animal eats a dead animal, they're eating the brains sometimes. Brains, spinal cord, this is how they get it. When you see an animal just carcass laying there, nothing but bones, you must know that the brain and the spinal cord has been eaten. And see, these rabid dogs cause a problem for livestock and cows and stuff like that, and that's how cows get it. And when cows get this disease, they call it mad cow disease. So now it's not rabies, it's mad cow disease. And when you eat meat tainted with mad cow disease, and why is it tainted? These blockos never tell you. When cow meat is tainted, where beef is tainted, that means that it is tainted with the brains and the spinal cord of the cow. And when the human gets mad cow disease, technically, it's not called mad cow disease no more. It's called Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. See, now mad cow went from So rabies now went from mad cow disease, then mad cow disease went from Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. See how they just renaming the same shit? You can even isolate with, you know, the people from Papua New Guinea. They're called the Fort people, and these people were known for something called funerary cannibalism. It was a ceremony where they cooked their loved ones after they were deceased, and they ate it. And typically, the women and the children would eat the brains and the spinal cord, and they would get Kuru disease. So now, once again, rabies has been renamed. Now it's Kuru disease, and Kuru, rabies, multiple sclerosis, Alzheimer's are all diseases that they term under the class of transmissible spongiform encephalopathies. Because they know it's the same shit. Okay? So let's go deep off into this. We're going to read something about the symbolism of the vulture and show you, you know, about its, you know, the importance that it has in terms of, you know, maintaining balance within the ecosystem, and of course the power of its symbolism too as well. So, you know, we're going to get right off into that. All right, and this article is from PBS. This is, you know, in the Science Journal. It was dated January 7, 2013. So they already know about this. Like I'm telling you, this is long. They've been cooking this for a while. All right, now let's read. We're going to read a couple paragraphs. Well, we're just going to read this paragraph, and then we're going to go off into some related articles, and we're going to read a paragraph of that. But let's get started. It says, both feral dogs, remember feral just mean wild. Both feral dogs and rats are well-known disease reservoirs. Now, of course, we've already established this, but we know that some people have the Oreo cookie syndrome. You know, they're white in the inside, black on the outside. So they have to hear masters say it. So, and their increase at carcasses in the absence of vultures may increase rates of infectious disease transmission to other species. Diseases such as rabies and bubonic plague, for which dogs and rats respectively are the primary reservoirs, may increase as a consequence of vulture declines. Wildlife and livestock could also be at increased risk from dog and rat-borne pathogens, including canine distemper virus, canine parvovirus, and leptospira SPP bacteria. Okay, so we're going to jump down to a couple of other articles, well, paragraphs, and then, you know, which complement, you know, the information that we just went over. It says, vultures in India and Nepal have declined dramatically in the last decade, and 14 of the 23 vulture species worldwide are threatened with extinction. The main culprit is a veterinary drug called diclofenac, found in the carcasses of livestock. The birds ingest the drug while scavenging carcasses, and it eats away at their kidneys, causing death or infertility. Now remember what I talked about, the most violent species on the planet with the most violent. Now think about this. These species, these organisms that eat death, consume death, the bubonic plague, anthrax, rabies. This man has already made something that eats away at them. And we know these organisms are so diseased that even a vulture won't eat another vulture. But yet he went in his lab and was able to find something that even nature couldn't do. Let's read on. Pakistan and Nepal banned diclofenac in response to the vulture decline. Since then, vulture numbers have started to stabilize somewhat, according to a report published in the journal PLOS-1. But in India, the vulture decline has had disturbing consequences, such as feral dogs feeding on carcasses. And when you have feral dogs, wait for it, when you have feral dogs, you have a huge time bomb of rabies. Varani says in the video, adding that the number of rabies cases in India has indeed increased dramatically. You think it ain't by design that they exterminate certain species? Disrupting the balance artificially. Okay? Now I want to show you the power of its symbolism now. Because we all know the symbolism, you know, you see it in cartoons and you see it, displayed, and where people want to make a point that look, death is coming soon. The vulture is the symbol. So like we're going to read on. This is an article that was published not too long ago. All right. And it was from Nat Geo Wild, and it states, as hundreds of vultures flock to an Alabama school, many have wondered how to scare off the birds. Science has an answer. Let's read. It says, for several months, now it was published February 4th, 2021. For several months, a flock of more than 100 black vultures has settled atop Opelika Middle School in East Alabama. They peer down at students as they arrive, soar in lazy spirals over soccer practice, and streak the field's floodlights with feces. Despite administrators' best efforts, the birds keep coming back, unnerving some students who have to walk past a gauntlet of vultures every day. Now, one thing that you have to understand is that they had went to, the government and said, okay, well, how do we get rid of these birds? Now, I believe it was a guy who worked for the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and he stated something like, oh, well, yeah, shoot a couple of them and then hang them upside down. Now, look at these idiots. That's why I told you. They be in positions of power. They don't even know what their job detail is. They don't even know about, the things that affect their job. Because what he should have known, according to 1918, vultures are protected under the 1918 Bird Migratory Act because they're an endangered species. You see, but they understand the symbolism. You see, because they know that these vultures, an organism created to consume death, can see death from a mile away. And this is what we told you. You have to understand, remember, that term isn't just a long term and it sounds pretty. Transmissible, spongiform encephalopathies, transmissible. Now think about this. It's not only transmissible, it's hereditary. Because remember we talked about that tribe that would eat, their deceased? Okay, 10 to 40 years later, their young would show up with it. And then if you were to mess with the brains or the carcass of that individual, you stand to increase the risk of being infected. That's what you need to know. So they know that if anything was in that jab that remotely resembles it, them vultures will be able to smell it. Now, if I'm so wrong, how come even in you'll learn this in class, you go to school or anybody will tell you this. They tell you that what? Animals, you need to watch animals whenever there's a disaster impending. Natural disaster, anything. Dogs, they talk about how they can sense death and all of this. Vultures especially, because all they do is consume death. So we have to watch out for that. But yet, you're ignoring the signs. You're ignoring the signs. And so, one of the things I have to tell you before, like when I was talking about these individuals, before we go off into this last article, remember the Matrix? Remember the guy that turned on Morpheus, Neo, and all of them, and he was unplugging them, because he had made another deal with the agent. Like, look, I got to get back. And see, out of all the people that actually broke down the Matrix, this went over everybody's head. Because remember, it was all about the red pill, blue pill. See, the movie also showed you that even when some people wake up and take the red pill, they go right back to go get the blue one. Because after a while, they can't take being here and being a warrior for that long. Now, we're going to read, a scientific, it's going to have a lot of scientific jargon. I got to go back and see where this is from because I had a lot of screenshots. I know I screenshotted the heading and, where in the source of this article, but, I don't have it available. And plus, kind of running low on time. So we're just kind of going to go ahead and get into it. And I'm going to break it down as we go along, but we're going to show you how they get to explaining and throwing all of these terms around. And just because they use 12, 15 letter words, you'd be like, what did he just say? Nothing. A whole bunch of garbage. And we're about to show you. Let's read. The concept of experimental allergic encephalomyelitis being linked to both rabies post-vaccination encephalomyelitis and multiple sclerosis has raised the intriguing question whether animal studies carried out for the induction and transmission of transmissible spongiform encephalopathies using brain antigens including prions do have a similar immunopathogenic mechanism. So, look at all that explaining. And what did they say? Okay, the concept of experimental allergic encephalomyelitis. That's basically an animal model that they use. That's literally what it is. That long term just means an animal model that they use that may have had rabies or, have been vaccinated with rabies and they, there's an allergic response. And now they're looking at, because they use these animal models to do what? Study multiple sclerosis. They literally use rabies to study multiple sclerosis because it's the same shit. Okay, now, so they want to see whether or not it has the same pathway, or does it start off the same? We know it does the same. See, they're not arguing whether or not it turns your brain to a sponge, that it just obliterates you. They're not arguing that. They're like, oh well, we don't know if it starts the same. Yeah, we know it's the same. We know it looks like a duck, walk like a duck, talk like a duck, but is it a duck? Man, we ain't got time for these. Okay, let's read on. Although an essential link between autoimmunity, we know autoimmunity is when the immune system attacks itself, and MS has been well established, its role in the pathogenesis mean the creation of the disease, the formation of it. Its role in forming it, they don't know. They say that ain't, because let's go on. It says its role in the pathogenesis of TSEs, or that's that transmissible spongiform encephalopathies, the role of it in creating it is generally lacking. However, autoantibodies to myelin proteins and or other neuronal antigens such as neurofilaments and prion proteins, we spoke of that. So anything that can cause an immune response in the brain, okay, have been reported in animals because it causes, these antibodies to attack your proteins. Okay? Right? So that's what they're saying. They found that in animals with bovine spongiform encephalopathy or mad cow disease, long-term mad cow disease, and scrapie, as well as in patients with Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. Now that's another term for mad cow disease. You see what I'm telling you? They've done out of e pluribus unum, out of many one. They science is pseudo. That's why I'm trying to get you to understand we can't follow under these niggas when the European science is always and will always be pseudo. I am killing you niggas. FOF squad.